The architectural historian Pevsner, when looking at the buildings in Britain, said of the Cardiff Civic Centre that it was the most beautiful in all of the British Isles. Now, when you look at the buildings behind me, you can see maybe why he said that. So behind me is the City Hall, there's a museum, the law courts, and many other buildings are here. So today I thought I'm just going to show you some of the buildings of Cardiff Civic Centre. Why is it so beautiful? Let's have a look at some of those buildings. The centrepiece to this Civic Centre, what you'll see is what is behind me, and this is Cardiff City Hall, built in 1905. Now, Pevsner said of this that it was Grade 1 listed simply because not just the outside but the inside is of such importance that it had to be Grade 1 listed, that nothing had been changed. Since it was built, most of the panelling, most of the building, most of the seating is original. A stunning building, still used as a city hall and also for use for wedding venues, etc. I've just left behind, as you see, is the City Hall. Now, what you see behind me is the National Museum and Gallery of Wales. Again, this was built in 1906. And again, this is a Grade 1 listed building of national importance. A beautiful building and free to go in, which is nice. The museums are all free and well worth a visit. But next to the museum and built onto the side of it is a stunning theatre, which I'll show you now. So built onto the National Museum and Gallery of Wales is the Riordan Smith Museum. Now, I can't go in there because the museum's closed at the moment and you don't always get access to this theatre. This theatre is something you can rent out for conferences, etc. But I've got some lovely photos to show you what this looks like, and again, why it's a Grade 1 listed building. So behind me is Cardiff University. Now, unlike the other buildings, this one's only Grade 2 star listed. I don't know why. I'll take you inside to have a look. It's an amazing building. Come and have a look. Little bit of local history as well. You see these marks here. Looks like there's a bit of neglect in the building, but actually when you look up, if you scan up there, you'll see the pock marks in the building, and they're a result of a bombing raid during World War II. So still showing the marks. This behind me is the front of the university. I showed you behind, I showed you inside, now here's the front. And again, can you see why it's a listed building? Beautiful. This is Alexander Gardens here. It's 5 acres inside. They bought this off the Marquis of Bute and he wanted it to be an area of peace and calm and quiet. And as you look, there it is. Now behind me, you'll see the top of the City Hall, the clock tower, and in there is the memorial for the First World War. So we're going to take you to have a look at that. This was built and dedicated in 1928 to the fallen of World War I. Again, this is set within the Alexander Gardens, an area of peace and tranquility. Behind me is a Crown building complex. This one is Grade 2 listed and built in 1938. It's one of those buildings actually in Cardiff that not many people notice. It's just opposite the Aberdare Gardens, but it's quite hidden, as you see, with the tree line. Plus it's at the end of the Civic Centre, but still a lovely building. This building here is a slightly modern extension to the Welsh Government building built in 1938. But again, they took time with the architecture, but I just took a photo of that because the symmetry in there, it just looks amazing. So I'm going to turn that into black and white, see what you think. This is Aberdare Buildings. This was built in 1905. Again, this is part of the university. Again, this one is Grade 2 listed. Behind me is Queen Anne Square. Now again, they purchased this from the Marquis of Bute, but when he sold this land, he did have a couple of clauses written into the contract that anyone who bought these houses could not be a solicitor and could not be a doctor. And the reason is, he said they would have too many visitors and he wanted it kept quiet. Again, with the Gardens of Peace, he wanted it all to be tranquil and quiet and calm because he lived just opposite in the castle. Behind me is the Redwood Building. It's for the Welsh School of Pharmacy, but built in 1961. It has no listing. Behind me is the Temple of Peace, built in 1938 and Grade 2 listed. I don't know if you can see, but up in the dragon's mouth is a wasp's nest. This is a Bute building, and what is interesting about it is Grade 1 listed, but it was built in 1916, and you think World War I was in full swing, the Somme was about to happen. But what a building. This is a Glamorgan building, built in 1928, Grade 1 listed. This is the Prescott School. I can't pronounce it, but anyway, roughly about that. Built in 1904, Grade 2 listed. This here is the monument to the Boer War, and it got some famous battles or sieges such as Ladysmith, Kimberley, Mafeking. Behind me is Cardiff Crown Court. Now this is often seen on the news when there are major cases that are being done. This was built in 1906. Again, this is Grade 1 listed. I'm sat here in the Bute Gardens. You see the statue there of the Marquis of Bute, the third Marquis of Bute, and this is who this park was dedicated to. It's set out in the Dutch style and it covers 0.4 acres, and if my assistant Emma swings a camera around, you will see we're right on the edge of the city, and just over that hedgerow there is the castle where the third Marquis of Bute lived. Fancy a cup of coffee? This is Gorseth Gardens. The coffee hut here, Grade 2 listed, but they've no idea what year it was built. Okay, so we're going to end this little video here, right at that coffee shop. So I hope you enjoyed this, something different. I've enjoyed doing it, hope you have.
I need a coffee.
Yeah, so do I.